So traveling today can be quite difficult with new travel restrictions changing daily and Delta variants causing countries to be on green lists and then removed from green lists. It can be quite the nightmare, but that doesn't mean that you can't travel this year. It just means that you need to take a few extra precautions to make sure you understand what you're getting into, you're prepared, you know how it's going to go, and you're okay with that. So let's go ahead and dive in with 5 potential problems you need to know when traveling this year. The first and perhaps most important one is to follow the travel restrictions and to follow your home country's status. So for instance, I am in the US, and what I mean by this is I need to pay attention to the fact that our numbers are unfortunately going up. What this means is that the United States may not remain on any green lists. If our numbers continue to go up, there are international communities that might decide to take us off the green list. So it's important that I understand what my home country is doing so that I know and pay attention to whether or not it's going to change for the destination I ultimately want to go to. The second potential problem is that some countries are deciding to require entry fees or reservations in order to visit. Now, for instance, Venice just instated this new requirement for next summer. They're going to be charging people to enter Venice, and they're going to be requiring reservations. This is the way that they have decided to handle their COVID restrictions and their safety for their town, but also limit over tourism, which is very, very prevalent in a community such as Venice. So this is something you definitely need to be made aware of. I will link all of these below so that you can take a look if you are planning to go to one of these cities. Another place, for instance, that is doing the same thing is Anguilla, and I know I'm torturing that name, but this is another location where they are requiring authorization. Again, this goes back to your country, and if your numbers are up, there's a very good chance that they could deny you. So just know that there are countries and territories out there right now that are requiring reservations and pre-travel authorization before you're allowed to visit their country. The next problem you need to be made aware of is that there are a growing number of cities that are requiring people to show proof of vaccination in order to enter their establishment. Now, this is definitely growing in Europe, where a lot of places are requiring the green certificate QR code in order to enter. Now, as a foreigner, we don't always have access to the QR code. Legally, we're supposed to be able to show our vaccine card, but there are a lot of places that just simply will not accept the vaccine card. If you don't have your QR code, they will turn you away. And there have been Americans, Canadians turned away from restaurants and bars because they didn't have the QR code. No amount of fighting with the proprietor is going to change that. So just know that that's a possibility. When possible, find restaurants that have outdoor seating because they tend to be a little lighter on their restrictions when there's an outdoor facility. And just know that might be a possibility. And if you have to, pick a backup restaurant because it's not everybody, but there are a number of them. Now, this is not just in Europe. It actually is starting to happen locally as well if you're from the US. For instance, New York City is starting to require proof of vaccination for indoor dining and other activities. Now, the difference with New York City is that we don't have a COVID green certificate or a digital certificate. So they will indeed accept your proven hard copy of your vaccine card in order to prove you're going in. So these are just the beginning. I'm sure as numbers increase, more and more places will start requiring this. Just know this will be something that might be rearing its ugly head when you travel this year. The next problem you need to be aware of is that there are some countries that are actually doing things such as curfews as extra measures against COVID and for protection for their citizens. So for instance, Albania does have a curfew from midnight to 6 a.m. There also have some different health screenings in the airport. Everybody's a little different. Antigua and Barbuda are the same in that they have a curfew and then they have some different requirements, including quarantine periods if you're not vaccinated. So as you scroll through, and I'll link this below, some of these different countries, you'll notice that some of them have some just extra measures that you need to be aware of. So before, for instance, Barbados, also a curfew. So before you plan on the location you're going to go, make sure you look at the travel requirements and decide whether or not it's something you're willing to do on your vacation. The other thing on that note is continue to monitor the situation. Because even though, say, for instance, you want to go to Brazil and maybe they don't have a curfew now, they might enact a curfew down the road. So you definitely want to make sure that you're following the travel restrictions for your destination all the way up to your vacation and then through your vacation. Here's another one where Portugal is announcing a curfew as the Delta variant spreads. So again, just more and more countries are starting to have curfews and other restrictions that you may or may not decide is worth it for you. You might decide, you know what, I'll visit Portugal next year when there's not curfews. Maybe I'll go someplace different this year because I don't want to deal with that. All right, and the final problem that people are not really taking into consideration, but you really need to, is your passport. If your passport is expiring anytime, honestly, in 2021 or 2022, you need to renew it, and or if you have no passport, get your passport now. Now. The reason I say that is because current wait times are up to 18 weeks. And I swear to you, over the last few months, this keeps going up and up and up. So do not wait until the last minute. Make sure you're getting your passport early. Even expedited is 12 weeks. So you just cannot wait until the last minute. If you do this must have international travel within 72 hours, that means there's very limited appointments. There are some people that are flying to other states in order to get an appointment if they're traveling within 3 business days. Do not risk this. If you can avoid having to gamble on getting it within 3 days, do it. Get it early and don't do this. It's just so much easier and so much less stress. If you are traveling 2022, get your passport now. And if it's a renewal that expires in 2022, renew it now. So that way you have plenty of time to get everything taken care of before you head out for your vacation. So those are the 5 potential problems you need to know when traveling this year. And if you are heading out, here's some other videos that will help you to make those plans. And other than that, thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.